Have you heard the rumors? It's another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week I get to talk about a show that I was honestly probably going to talk about years ago. Never did, and I'm actually kind of glad that I finally gotten around to it. And that being Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun. Now, this anime is like perfect for the October setting, and it's perfect to talk about because the new season just ended. And sorry for the mouth click there. Just had some breakfast. The thing about the show, and one of the things in general, is that there are some genres that I aspire to like more than others, and usually give leeway to. Hard-boiled crime dramas, kill dramas, stuff like that. Offbeat stuff here and there. Older stuff. More dramatic things. I usually go for that as opposed to, say, shonen or straight comedies or perverted shows about harems and junk, though there are occasions when those work. But one of the ones that have always kind of gotten me was Japanese culture, Japanese stuff, the Japaneseness of a thing. And particularly like yokai and ayakashi, stuff like that. Inspector, Demon Prince of Momochi House, Kimono Jihen, Nura Rise of the Yokai Clan, stuff like that. Because it isn't like strictly horror based, because I'm not really a horror guy, but I like it if it's in that like Japanese style of mythology where it's like everything is based on mythology, because Shintoism and Buddhism and that sort of stuff is very awkward and offbeat and in a different sort of way. And to an extent, something like Holic has that sort of vibe too, even though it's more of a comedy. But anything that like blends its Japanese culture into the thing to give it a very unique perspective of things, though this show does do it, but does it in a different way, and I think it expresses it less as the show goes on. There's still something about Hanako-kun that initially strikes me in that sort of vein, does have its own vibes to it still, but then, especially with this last season, these last 24 episodes, they have definitely blended in a lot more. We've established the characters, now let's give them some major scenarios to go in and tie it back to what they're feeling. So that's what I want to talk about, not just so the show in general, because I've talked about liking the show a lot, especially in my rundowns of the season so far, and I keep saying this is my favorite show of the bunch because it has the legacy behind it, or like this has been what I wanted the show to be because the first season did some of it but not a lot of it, or they brought it back and it really just, whatever they did in that intervening time, whether this was part of the manga, whether this was just something they decided to focus on, they turned a corner and made this a very special kind of show. But to get that, we have to talk about what it was at first, and then why I'd say the second season succeeded so well. So the established canon of the show is you have just some random school, and this girl, Nene Yashiro, voiced by Tia Ballard, who was, I want to say, yeah, it was Itsuki Nakano from Quintessential Quintuplet, and I think she was Chiho from Devil's a Part-Timer. I'm going to say Chiho. One of the better characters of that show, to be honest. She plays Nene Yashiro, and Nene is this like unassuming but decently popular-ish character, but is more known for some weird thing about her ankles. I have no idea. Like, she's talked about as a daikon radish. Like, her ankles are thick, and she's weird and like, really? No, she's just some random high school girl, shy, but has friends and does things and whatever. And the basis of this school is that she wants to find a boyfriend, and she wants to find Teru Minamoto, voiced by David Matranga. And he's the super popular dude. Everybody knows who he is. She has this thing that she wants to be with him, but like he's an upperclassman and whatever. So basic setup. But this school runs on Japanese horror game logic, where they know that stuff exists that really shouldn't. And you hear rumors around the school, either via the PA announcer, who's her own character in her own right, Sakura, who gets involved here and there. But Nene knows about what is known as the Seven Wonders. And these are fantastical demons or apparitions, yokai, whatever. They call them apparitions in this show, mostly. Where these Seven Wonders kind of govern things in the school, control things in the school, or high-powered demons that are kind of affixed to the school, for lack of a better term, and can't really leave. One of them in particular is Hanako. And he's don't ask me why this was the thing. And again, the name Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun is definitely strange when you first hear it, but it makes sense. He lives in the bathroom, and he haunts it, but he haunts the school as this like weird, like he was a killer, he wasn't a killer, he's high-powered demon, he isn't. People fear him. This teenage boy who died in a weird accident, but now haunts the school. But there's other things that go around and about the school. It's not just him. But Nene hears about it and thinks that he can grant her wish. One of his mechanisms is that he can grant a wish depending on like the strength of the wish and what they're willing to part with. Kind of in the same way Halak works their magic. The way that how Yuko does her thing is he can grant a wish, but you take a price for it. That's the rumor anyway. So she wants to date this guy that she barely knows, but she has a crush on. So, okay, talk to this guy. Turns out Hanako is a living spirit, and he's voiced by Justin Reiner. His thing is he just kind of floats around and does weird shit, but he's very strong in that like subtle way. And they start trying to figure out like what is each other's place in things. And Nene doesn't know what to think about him, but she ends up dealing with this mermaid and she ends up getting cursed, where she turns into a fish, like you do. But Nanako saves her and says, if you serve me as an assistant, well, things will go fine. And then, like, things go about their merry way. The first season is a lot of this occult intrigue and stuff, where they introduce characters and do things. One of the other characters is Ko Minamoto. Let's see if we've got him on the list here. Yeah, voiced by Tyson Reinhardt. So it's kind of like their show. They're the main three characters. He is Teru's brother. He's kind of the punching bag and, whiny, little angsty scamp of the group, but he's trying not to be. And it actually kind of shows up more and more, especially when the series hits in the second season. But he's just looked at as the little brother. Not allowed to do anything, not allowed to be anything, just kind of exists. So he's trying to get rid of Hanako, but through weird shenanigans as the season progresses, like the three of them kind of become a group. And apologies, I'm distracted. Somebody started yelling in my apartment building. You may not hear it, but those three kind of make up the core of the show. Hanako, Nene, and Ko. They kind of coexist and work their way through it. Other people, like some of Nene's friends and whatnot, work their way into the show here and there. Other wonders also get introduced. In fact, I think they introduced all of them so far. The biggest thing I will say is that they get introduced, sort of, and like some of them take higher priority than others, and this is one of my main criticisms. Is it makes sense for Hanako? He's the main character. He's got the most interesting backstory, especially to do with family things, because he was like some like young kid in like the early 50s or 60s. I'm gonna say like 60s because that's when like space programs and stuff happened, where he had a family member, he had a brother, he had a good family, but it comes to pass that just circumstances made him weak and frail. His brother didn't like it, but he managed to make it work. But there's also the rumor that he killed his brother too. So whether that ends up being true or not, the show kind of leads into that direction. So you definitely have his brother, Tsukasa, just basically just constantly fucking around with him. Just being around him or being around in the periphery. And there's that noises again. Sorry. Whenever I hear it, I'm just annoyed. Whenever I hear stuff outside or stuff in, in my apartment building, I just can't. Anyway, so Tsukasa is with this small group of people in the school, including that PR person who's been spreading rumors and stuff around the school. They know it's true because they exist as well. Like, some of them are human, some of them are apparitions like Tsukasa, and they have an agenda. It's very vague, but it's definitely in the villainous side. You see them like kidnapping Nene or causing other issues with other characters or doing things in and out and around the show. This show tends to like feed characters in and out based on what story they're trying to tell, and it does. Like, some of these characters you don't see for long stretches of time. In fact, some of those wonders, like the second wonder of the Misaki Stairs, this like fox demon lady, and the fifth wonder of the 4 o'clock library, like, they introduced them and they do stuff in the first season. They don't show up at all in the second season, or if they do, they're there for like bit parts, and they have other stories to tell, and they're not doing shit with them. So if you like those kinds of characters or like what they're doing, like, you get the intro episodes with them, and then they just kind of exist in the background. Your enjoyment of the show is kind of the visual style, which is a very like pink, brown, red, like very awkward style, like very Saturday morning cartoon meets horror, like very opulent horror kind of thing. It is very distinct. I don't think I've ever seen a show like it. Even other shows that have unique styles, say like Gankutsuo, they're unique in a different way. This is trying to be like a horror kids show, but very pop colors and just unique. Like, every character looks distinct. You would never find a show like this because it is its own, own machination. So it is a distinctive look, a distinctive feel, a distinctive design. So you'll probably get introduced via that first. But if you don't really like Hanako, Nene, or Ko, you're probably shit out of luck in terms of characters, because they are kind of the conduits. They are the characters that exist the most. You'll get Teru more in the second season. You'll get like a couple of the wonders in the second season, and maybe Aoi as Nene's friend here and there. But again, they decided to introduce a lot of characters, but also like filter them in whenever necessary. But it does come at a cost, because if you do like them, or their banter, or what they signify as characters, it does feel like, well, you're forgetting about them for long stretches of time, and I'm kind of lost. But the mechanisms of the first season go around. You get more occult stuff, you get more wonder stuff, and you start introducing them. the PA room villains do their own thing and they try to kidnap Nene to get at Hanako, because that's kind of one of the main driving forces, is to get at Hanako and either to like make him desperate or kill him as an apparition or just whatever, make his life a living hell, something like that. But the second season happens, and when they had this like extended break, this extended anime break, and I don't know why, either because the manga wasn't like completely fleshed out yet, or they changed development studios. They took like 4 years or 5 years or more to get a new season. So it started at the tail end of last year into this last upcoming season. Was getting that second season, and what they started doing was focusing on more extended stories, and this is where the show picks back up. They still have your weird occult stuff, but now you're starting to introduce things about Hanako, Ko, and especially Yashiro that take the show to a different kind of level. I forgot I mentioned spoilers in the video. I'll have to put a bumper to say spoilers of it anyway. But I do have to mention spoilers because that second season is so important. And a lot of it hinges on Nene's condition. They keep it vague, but what they say is that she is going to have a limited lifespan. They don't say why. They haven't figured out what it is, and maybe the manga or the anime will reveal that at some point, but they make it this sort of Damocles kind of thing. And what it does do is it changes Hanako quite a bit. And you get this like subtle vibe that like Nene and Hanako start liking each other a lot, but they're finally starting to act on it. But Hanako is starting to understand, okay, something is wrong and I don't like this, and I'm going to find ways to keep Nene alive. So this second season is about 2 different ways he tries to do that, kind of honestly behind her back. So even though he's the protagonist of the piece, he's actually an antagonist in a way, because without her knowing, he comes up with these 2 methods to extend her lifespan. The first one is based on Shijima of the art room. She's a wonder that can just basically draw things, and it becomes a reality. And what she draws becomes permanent reality, if done long enough. If she finishes the painting, she does it. So while you're learning about Shijima in like the 7 or 8 episodes you get, you slowly try to figure out that what she's doing is she's drawing an alternate reality where everything is looking nice and proper, and it's not dark and weird, it's all bright and colorful and everybody's happy, and like Hanako as his old self, his former human self, is still alive, and like every other character's alive, and they can kind of just live in their merry old way, but they realize that it's a fake world. So he actually tries to imprison Nene for the intervening time for Shijima to finish her painting. And it doesn't go well, because you have to confront the fact that Nene doesn't want to be coddled, doesn't want Nanako to do this just for the sake of her. So they start dealing with that. The season, or that part of the season ends, and the most recent one was yet another method. So he fails in his method to use Shijima to do it, but then he remembers the Grim Reaper, the 6th wonder. So he comes up with a second method. During this like slumber party sleepover thing they're holding in the school, the Grim Reaper abducts Nene's friend Aoi, and he basically says, "You're going to be my new sacrifice." We start learning that the Grim Reaper takes brides from this like ancient village, crazy weird traditions that state that people have to have human sacrifices to curb the god's wrath, shit like that. So several people are sentenced to die, whether they deserve it or not. And Aoi is the next to go. Teru finds this out and realizes, hey, I can use this to my advantage. So they get to the far shore. They're trying to save Aoi, so everybody's kind of involved. Ko, Nene go first. They try to fight it off. It doesn't really work so well. Akane, Aoi's friend, which is weird because they're Akane, Aoi, and Aoi, Akane. So it's like the male one is Akane, the female one is Aoi, but they're friends, but they're whatever. It's weird. And then we find out Akane is actually the first wonder and can use that to save people or stop their, time or whatever. So he's involved too. Teru gets involved in the nonsense because it doesn't go well. The Grim Reaper is very damaging and dangerous and all that shit, and he basically just keeps Aoi for like the entire season, and she's going to be the sacrifice. She's going to like dissolve away into nothing and can't be brought back. And then you have this issue of the Severance, where the characters are sealed away, the apparitions are sealed away. So you have two boundaries just completely gone. Nene wants to see Hanako again, so they have to go and find this house. And this house basically serves as a backstory to Tsukasa and Hanako and how they coexisted. And you learn that Tsukasa sacrifices himself to this like spirit or demon of the house to basically grant wishes. And he basically gives himself up to allow Hanako as his old self to live, at least for as long as he did, until he became the apparition. So you start seeing just weird things happen in this house over and over, but it opens the way to the far shore for the finale. Teru was using the red house and the opening into the far shore to get at Hanako because he wants to exorcise him. Nene and Ko have their own reasons for wanting to stop them. Nene finally confronts Hanako because she finds out that Hanako basically grabbed Aoi as the sacrifice in Nene's stead to keep her alive, to basically supplant her instead. He is willing to sacrifice her best friend so that Nene can survive instead, which again is just ugh. He's supposed to be likable, and yet he's not. And you know that over and over. And this is now twice that this happens. And then while that's going on, Ko has to fight off against the Grim Reaper and Teru. And Teru is fighting off against Hanako as well. So it's like Teru wants to kill Hanako, but Nene stops him and runs away with him, and that's where that happens. And then Ko steps in and basically says, "You're not going to stop me from protecting Nene again." And Teru is just being I don't care about you. You're dumb. Why do you protect them? You're being stupid. So they has fight. Other people has fight, and Ko actually gets a man up speech moment, which is great because he's been kind of in the I'm important to a point kind of role, but I'm not as important as the other two, but this is his chance to finally get somewhere. But then everything just kind of ends on a peaceful-ish note, but that's because there's more to the story, and you wonder what more can they do. They've introduced all of the wonders. And you think, okay, well, they're going to do this, they can do this, they can do this. There's more to this show. And I get the feeling that because they brought it back for that second season, they know there's momentum behind it. It is a unique show in and of itself because it took the occult stuff that they were doing as part separated episodes and episodic content and then really focused in on more extended stories, all kind of centered around Hanako and Nene this time. I really do hope that a season 3 can kind of bridge the gap and like bring in the other wonders and do more with the boundaries, and like it is a very creative, expressive show. But again, my biggest criticism is the characters kind of filter in and out of importance, and they're not even seen. They're not even background characters half the time. They don't even show up. So they've established characters only to leave them on the wayside when it's important. So that would be my main criticism, especially of season 2, despite the improvements that the show made. But if you're coming into it cold, you get like the episodic weirdness of all the rumors and all the wonders and like all the shenanigans that they can pull and all the crazy visuals that the show does. This like crazy Japanese Saturday morning cartoon horror comedy thing. But if you stick with it long enough, you get this very good like teenage drama love story stuff filtered in. And you start realizing that people aren't as nice as they seem. And there's always this undercurrent of just unease about the whole thing. Not to the point where it's gory and just distracting and what, but within the margins is a very good show that I think works for a lot of different reasons. And I think would be of interest to a lot of people, especially if you're into that sort of Japanese aesthetic and Japanese mythology and folklore stuff like I am. So would I recommend Toilet Bound Hanako-kun? Absolutely. It's one of my favorite shows for a lot of different reasons and has definitely improved with time. And I don't see any reason why they're not going to keep going. So it's up to 36 episodes, 36, 37-ish. I would skip the other one, like the after school Hanako-kun, like the little minor specials that they did. There's like very short episodes that were just comedic and kind of silly. I would skip those. There's nothing really meaningful about that. But the main show, the main 2 seasons are the ones with all the meat on the bones, and they're really good. So I would definitely watch those. But that'll do for today. And what do we got going? Let's see here. So, I've done Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. And now I'm just checking my list here. Sorry. Going to there. Cool. We got it. So, next anime I talk about is Zenshu. After that is Vagrant Story, Gangsta, and then Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. So in between that, I'll have the fall season anime stuff filtering in here and there. I've already kind of dumped a show or two in the fall season. Like some of the early ones already got dubbed and I was not interested. So stuff like Togen Anki and Ivgachi Akuta keep going. Like I'll keep watching those, but some of the new stuff have already not really impressed me. I'm really kind of just waiting on Spy Family season 3 to get dubbed so I can start watching those episodes. But you know, that might be another week or two, but that's what I'm going to keep going on with. So I'll see you next time. Citizen Strife signing off.